Oh, my God! Has it been this long, friends? Welcome to another pandemically erotic episode of A Crept From the 80s. And today's a very, very special episode. Because joining me on this episode is my 13-year-old son, River. Say hi, Riv.
Hello.
Yes. You may be wondering, Sievage, why would you have your 13-year-old son on A Crept From the 80s? Well, I wanted to bring him on and talk about what it's like growing up with somebody like me in these modern times, but also being a 13-year-old kid who probably knows a lot more about 80s pop culture than most kids his age, and what it was like growing up with somebody like me, and what he likes from the 80s and things like that. So, doesn't that sound fun? Man, he'd rather be playing Vegeta games with his hombres.
Hombres?
Yeah.
No.
Look at this kid. With the homies?
Yeah.
Alright, so, I mean, as you know, I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s. It's the best decade of all. Of course, it's what this channel's all about. And one of the things... No.
Yeah.
One of the things that excited me as I, got to be an adult and knew that I was going to have a kid one day, and one of those things that excited me was being able to pass down the love and adoration of all the things I love as a Sievage. And that was whether it was a girl or a boy. I was just like, man, I can't wait to have a little me to expose all this stuff to. And sure enough, when River was born, I definitely pushed a lot of stuff 80s wise onto him. Even from he was 6 months old, and the third time we went to see Transformers, the 2007 movie, he was only 6 months old. And I remember your mom being like, I don't have to, I don't have to come. I can't come. We have a baby, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, we'll sit in the back, the very back seat. And because at the theater I was at, they had a seat in the very back of the theater, and a little cubby on each side of the doorway open to the theater. They had a little cubby on either side, and there was two seats.
Aren't those seats for the disabled people?
No. This was way before. The theater looked totally different, Riv.
Was this even AMC?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
right.
But it got a total reconstruction and everything. But back in the day, there were little cubby seats that were dark, and there were two seats, and they were way in the back.
Oh, they had things whatever.
No, it was just in this weird it was away from everybody else, and there were only two seats, and it was dark there. So I said, we'll sit back there and, watch this. I'm like, it's his first movie.
Was that my first movie that I ever saw?
Well, yeah, but you were 6 months old. You don't remember anything like that. It was Transformers, the Michael Bay movie, yes. That was the first
crazy movie for my first movie.
I know. I mean, for the most part, you slept through it, which is ridiculous because of all the explosions and everything. And you didn't cry once. You were, obviously, again, you're not going to remember it. But me being a new dad and being the geek that I was like, oh no, this is a great opportunity. And this was my third time seeing it. Lauren, my ex-wife, his mother, her first time, and she really didn't want to go, but I just kept pushing it. I was like, no, this will be great. What a story. his first movie as a 6-month-old baby was Transformers the movie. But anyway, that's the type of mindset I had. Was it didn't matter to me how young you were. I was going to show you all the 80s stuff I could, so that like maybe you had that memory as you got older. So from a very, baby toddler ages there, I was showing you Thundercats, I was showing you He-Man, I was showing you Pee-wee's Playhouse, as many like kid-friendly 80s things as I could, in hopes that as you got older you'd be like, I like this, I remember this. I was showing you real Ghostbusters, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, things like that. But I don't think... It probably wasn't until you were 3 or 4 that you actually started to really, like... I saw that you wanted to watch these things. It was something that it was part of your bedroom routine.
Mm-hmm.
Did you fart?
No, I just
saw the John
cover.
Stamos?
I just saw the name of the cover and I saw him.
And so I remember, so like 3 or 4, you really started to ask for Pee-wee. You really started to ask for Elf and things like that to watch in your bedroom, because we lived in a bunch of different apartments for about half of his life. A little less than half of his life. But every bedroom he had, it was kind of, his kid stuff and whatever the modern stuff was at the time. But also I made sure he had 80s posters. I made sure that like he had his own DVD player so that we could play any of the 80s stuff. Now at those early ages, 3 and 4, do you remember anything? And not just 80s stuff, but do you remember anything that like...
I remember that we lived in this big like blue house that was an apartment thing. It was in like right behind us was like fire trucks and stuff. What was it?
We
lived.
The fire department was behind the house.
Down the street was a Chinese place, and in the house, I didn't grow up with like my first. I think the first like video games.
Gotta be loud, Riff.
The first video games that I basically played were like Donkey Kong in them. Because I didn't grow up with, like, an Xbox at the time. It was a Nintendo.
You had Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo, yeah. But...
Yeah, so you remember that? Yeah, you did play Donkey Kong.
Yeah, and I played it in the kitchen. It was hooked up in the kitchen. And it was on this box TV. But, yeah. I mean, most of the stuff, it was mostly, like, 80s stuff that when I was little, that I grew up with. But, yeah. That's what I pretty much remember when I was that old. How old was I when you guys split and then my mom moved into Grandma's the next door house?
You were 4. You were 4.
Alright.
Yeah. You were 4, and then...
And I got an Xbox, and I played, like Lego games, like Lego Star Wars and stuff. I didn't grow up with Call of Duty, like a lot of kids did.
Yeah. But you still... So then I moved into that...
You moved into the apartment complex.
The apartment complex, and you were 5 years old, and then you were... and that's probably when I... Well, no, because 4... It's so weird. I was showing him, like... the movie Ghostbusters and E.T. and Monster Squad and Indiana Jones and things like that.
Wait.
When you were Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie.
So much stuff had to happen that time, because wasn't I 7 when we moved into here?
You were 6.
Oh, even younger. Alright. Well, then everything happened between 4 and 5 then, I guess.
Yeah, we were only in that complex. I was only in the complex for about a year.
Oh, then I must have remembered a lot of stuff because my mom moved in there with Aaron.
Yeah.
And then we lived in there for like 3 years or something.
Yeah.
And then we moved into the house down there and then went to school now here.
Yeah. In 2013, you were 6,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when we moved in here.
Mm-hmm.
And you started going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
But, what do you think were like your favorite 80s things that I showed you throughout the years? Like now as a 13-year-old, because there's some things where you're going to be like, no, that's dumb.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I understand that. But there's some things where you're still like, you know what, that's good, I like that. It's a cartoon or a TV show or movie.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have things from the 80s that you still now, as a 13-year-old, are like, you know what, that's still pretty rad?
Star Wars.
Yes, I did show him Star Wars at a very, very young age, probably when he was like 2. And then again when he was 4. And then I think again when he was 6. Definitely when he moved in here, we pushed a lot of Star Wars. But yes, he's been a Star Wars kid for sure.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He-Man. I don't remember a lot of Thundercat at all. I haven't watched it again.
No, I showed you when you were young.
And then I haven't watched a lot of Mask, but I think that's cool. What was Transformers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Tons of Transformers, yes. Still one of my favorites. Back to the Future. And yeah.
Those are still very cool to you.
Mm-hmm.
When he was little, I would let him play with all my 80s toys, much to my chagrin. Because I was just being like, oh, I'm going to pass these down to my kid.
Broke them
But,
all.
you know, I don't know what I was thinking. Because, of course, he was a toddler. He was a youngin'. So he destroyed most of it. But I bet you have memories of looking at that stuff, you know, like
yeah.
the turtles.
I remember when we had the Ecto-1, but it was all busted up because I destroyed it.
And you colored it. You had
Yeah.
like marker on it and all sorts of stuff. Ooh, another thing that Riv grew up with and you may still love now to this day is, think about it, giant monsters.
Oh, Godzilla? Well, Godzilla, that wasn't like, I wouldn't count that as an 80s thing.
Well, no.
Because that was way before.
Yeah. But I
Or-
mean, that's something
I remember
Even
like
from
I
little.
remember the movies where he was like goofy and weird. He would be like, do all this weird stuff and then fly up in the air. That's what I remember. Like I remember the one movie where he fought all the creatures, and they all were like, I remember they barely fought a lot. They like danced and it was very weird. It was just weird. And then the movies changed. And like they were more like actually like whoa instead of just like
silly
weird like music, and they were like and they jumped and flew stuff.
What about the toys?
I still have the toys.
Because you have you have a pretty good
I
collection
have a lot, yeah.
of Godzilla stuff. But I remember you loved those things, and you would play with Transformers and Godzilla.
Yeah, I
And you would, like,
all the time.
They would fight each other,
Mhm.
smash them together.
Because I think big robots fighting big creatures is really cool. I think that's really dope. Like, just seeing like a giant monster fight a robot. That's something that's cool. And I always put my toys in different, like, I'd put them all together. The Star Wars would fight the Avengers, and I'd make the Transformers also be in there, and also add more things to it.
Yeah, and you mentioned turtles. You were really big
Mm-hmm.
with the turtles.
Mm-hmm.
And you liked all of that.
Mm-hmm.
The toys, the cartoons, like everything.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, out of all the shows or cartoons you've seen, what do you think you've liked the most? Because I know there's some where you were like, you've said this show's dumb. This show isn't good. But there's some shows where you're like, why don't we watch this? Are we gonna watch another episode of this? So can you think of like 80 shows that you actually enjoy as a 13-year-old kid in 2020?
Like, now at this point, I'm more like 80 shows that it was like live action. Like, It was actually people. Like, because the cartoons, I mean, I like He-Man, but there's a lot of stupid stuff in it. There was a lot of weird things that were just like it wasn't supposed to be funny, but it was just like very off-putting. It didn't make sense. Like, anytime He-Man would just go, go, and sometimes there wasn't even noise. They just cut to that, and then he'd just go, and then run. It didn't make any sense to me, but it was just weird and funny. But yeah, I mean, I can't really think of a lot of things that I said were like stupid.
Well, there's some
They're
things.
all ridiculous, but they're cool. 'Cause like all the ideas are crazy and like wacky and weird, but they fit and they're cool, and they put it all together and it makes something great.
Well, let's go down a couple titles, and I want to get your reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So, Growing Pains.
Love Growing Pains. Great show.
Who's your favorite character on Growing Pains? Is it Mike? Is it Ben?
Mike. I can relate to him the most.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. He's also a pretty cool dude.
And he's got your same name, your same last name.
Yeah, Seaver.
Now, what did you think of Facts of Life?
I at first I didn't really like it, but later on I actually really did enjoy it. I thought some of the characters were very goofy. But yeah, I do like that.
Like Mrs. Garrett?
She was very weird in it. But yeah, she was really funny. She like would randomly stare with bug-eyed, and it was freaky, but yeah, she was a goofy character.
Okay. Different Strokes?
Great show.
You like Different Strokes? Arnold?
Yep.
Willis?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the Boss?
That's the best show. It's one of the best shows.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I love Tony. That guy's awesome. He's very cool. I like when he gets surprised. He'd go, it was just funny because he was so, like, it came out, like, it showed that he was so, like, yeah, like, it seemed like he was very New York. It was just very, like, it was just funny. It was funny.
Family Ties.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
Very good show. Very good show. Yes. Yes. We've watched every season multiple times. Yeah, it was a good show. Yeah.
Wonder Years.
Now, I don't know what it is, but I don't really like Wonder Years that much. I don't know what it is, but it's just very, I don't know. The kid kind of pissed me off a lot.
Kevin Arnold? You didn't like Kevin Arnold?
Well, no, he was cool, but he seemed very, he kind of was a douchebag a lot. At least what I remember. I don't know. It's fine, but I wouldn't watch it.
Silver Spoons.
I don't remember a lot from Silver Spoons. We only watched one season, because that's all they had.
On DVD, yeah, I showed you that.
They don't have any other seasons, but I liked it. I thought it was, crazy. They're rich, right? They had, a crazy house and stuff. They had all this, yeah. It was cool, but I don't remember a lot because they only had one season on DVD.
Saved by the Bell.
It's a ridiculous show. I watched it all the time, though.
Yeah.
And it was so...
You watched all of it.
Yeah, it was so goofy. It was so, it's so stupid sometimes. They were very, I don't know what it was, but they were just, always, yeah! They always, they'd just walk around. They'd be like, haha, yeah! Whoa! It was... and I realized that in a lot of things, for some reason the guys were so stupid. They were just, what, yeah, whoa, yeah. It was
I know you liked Elf.
Yeah.
You watched Elf a lot.
I never found it funny, for some reason, but I always watched it. But Elf, that's the only person I found funny. Everyone else was weird. The kid, I forgot his name. All the other characters I forgot, except for Elf. Except for the dad, who kind of...
Go, Elf!
It's so weird.
I call him the White Bill Cosby. Syrup mouth.
Yeah.
Well,
mouth that dripped. It was just...
Go! Elf! Obviously... Pee-wee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you loved Pee-wee. And you liked Pee-wee's Big Adventure. You used to watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure,
all the time.
Over and over again.
Yeah. I watched a lot of movies over and over again that I liked. For some reason, I really loved The Sandlot, and I always watched that with Grandma. Every time I went there, I'd put it on, and I'd just keep watching it. So I remember a lot of stuff from that and Pee-wee's Big Adventure because I watched those two movies all the time. So crazy because I remembered that he did all of that for his bike. It was so crazy. At times it was very creepy. The clown was creepy. The girl who had her face just explode.
Large Marge.
Yeah, that freaked me out. But yeah.
So out of all the horror movies you've seen, now he's not really
I'm not a very big horror
It's interesting because he grew up around all of this stuff. Me making movies, me having people all over all the time, the horror stuff, everything. But he's gravitated more towards, comedies and superheroes and
I like comedy movies.
Comic book type stuff and that type of stuff. Fantasy, science fiction, what have you. The horror stuff hasn't really done much for him. But we've shown him probably, I would say about 10, 11, 12 horror movies throughout his years. And do you have one that you actually were like, you know what, this was This was actually really good.
I like Jason a lot. I think Jason's badass. Like, he can't die. He can't, like, so much stuff hits him and he just doesn't. Later movies, wacky and weird. I don't care about those. But the older movies, they were cool. Like, Jason, like, he doesn't talk. He doesn't do anything. He just walks and kills. Like, something that I realize is it's so, like, funny to watch, like, because these, like, the killers, sometimes they, like, get thrown at, like, stuff hits them all the time, and they're just, like punching through everything and just breaking everything. It was so funny, too. Or sometimes, like, they'll get thrown around, and then they just get back up, and they keep going. I mean, yeah, I like Jason. That's the main guy that I like. Out of, like, the killers that I know, like, Michael Myers, cool. Freddy's a weirdo.
I mean, out of the stuff you've watched, was there... I mean, because some stuff you were just like, meh. But some stuff I remember you being like, you know what? This was good.
I did really like Fright Night. That was one that I really enjoyed.
Of course you did.
What
about The Thing?
I mean, that's one of the best movies. The Thing was great. It was cool because it wasn't a killer. It was just something that took over everything and made them go crazy. It was very cool, and but yeah, Freddy I liked. It was a very good movie, the one that I saw, and then so was Jason, the Jason movies, Friday the 13th. Halloween, good, the one that I saw. What was it? Was it at the end of Freddy that just was so weird? Like she got pulled through a window or something? It was
Pulled
like
through the door window. Yeah.
and it was like a doll, and it like. Yeah. Or then with Michael Myers, where the cops like they had like goofy music anytime they came around.
That was Halloween 5. You saw 4 and 5, I think.
Mm-hmm. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've shown you a lot of stuff. Some things you were like, yay, and some things you're like, eh, I don't think so. Like, you laughed at Child's Play.
Child's Play didn't scare me. None of the horror movies scare me.
Well,
Except for The Thing.
You did get creeped out by some things.
Like what?
The Evil Dead remake, you were really creeped out.
Yeah.
I think Babadook, you were kind of creeped out a little bit.
Well, I was little when I watched Babadook. Now I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So another thing that...
But I don't like new horror movies. I just don't like horror as much as I like other things.
Yeah, it's fine.
I like upbeat things more.
Three Amigos.
It's a great movie.
I know he likes Three Amigos. Yeah. Police Academy.
Police Academy is amazing. It's gold. The fourth one. Pure gold. All the first, second, third, fourth. They're good.
Yeah.
How many did they make? 7?
There's 7. But I didn't
5,
show
6,
you
and
5, 6,
7,
and 7 because
yeah.
they're just so bad. You would not think they're funny.
Yeah, I like 2 of the characters the most. Well, I like all the characters. They're all great.
Mahoney and Jones.
Mhm. I also like the
Jones
one.
does the voices.
I like the one that's like, I forgot his name, but he's like.
Bobcat.
He's the one that's like. Yeah. Yeah.
He plays Zed.
Yeah. He's like, and he like does this. Wasn't he like a criminal at first, and then became a cop? Yeah. But, yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite Star Wars movie?
Return of the Jedi.
Word. Out of the three newer 7, 8, and 9, what's your favorite out of 7, 8, 9?
First one.
7? Force
Yes,
Awakens?
yeah, 7. But I have liked the prequels. Like, I've appreciated them more now because they're big stories and they tell what happened and they're very important. But they should have just made those first two way better than they could have. They didn't need Jar Jar at all. He was ridiculous. They didn't need him. They just should have like made it more put together than it was. Because the third one I love. The third one I think is very important. It's
Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah, I think that one is a very good one because it really is important and it shows like what happened. But that one I like out of the prequels. That one's the best one. But obviously my favorites are the originals because the classics, they're classic. Like the new ones I do really enjoy, but over time I did think more and they didn't need to like continue the story, but I mean they did and they ended it and I'm fine the way that they ended it. But they could have touched up on just a few things, but I mean it's over. The saga's finally over for them, but Star Wars isn't over, but
yeah.
That story is finally to an end. But yeah.
What do you think of Bill and Ted?
It's very goofy movies, but I like them. I think
You like one or two more?
One.
Me too.
I like the one the most because I really enjoyed the scene where they all went in the mall. That scene's probably one of my favorite scenes, all the characters running around the mall. Because the second one was very weird.
Yeah, I like the second
Death
one.
was with them, and they had two alternate versions of themselves that were, like, evil. Like, they threw, like, the normal versions or something, like, off the
killed
edge.
them.
Yeah, they killed them, and then they went to Death, and then Death was a pretty cool dude, though.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I wanted to say, as he was growing up, from a toddler on, I also played a lot of music for him. Again, mostly 80s and mostly ska. And I think it helped him become the macadocious radical dude that he is today. He's got great rhythm, just like his old man. And he knows what a good song is and a good beat is, and I think that has a lot to do with me pushing a lot of that music on you when you were a youngster.
Mm.
What do you like now as a 13-year-old? I ain't talking about modern stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the 80s stuff.
Yeah.
What's the stuff that you really are like, you know what, that's...
I mean, most of the stuff I listen to now a lot of it is still 80s stuff, because there's a lot of 80s songs that are just they're very good, and that's, like, it's made my style of music now. Like, I don't listen to, like, rap and pop and that stuff. I more listen to, like, very more chill stuff, but I do really like it, and the cool thing is I pushed a lot of it onto my friends, and now my friends like that stuff, and that's what we listen to. Like, because one of my friends listened to rap all the time, but now, like, I changed it completely, and like, they barely ever listen to rap, but it's cool. Like, I do really like New Edition. They got really good songs. Sometimes the songs I don't even know, like, the person who made it sometimes, because, like, I grew up to it and I was like, Yeah, that's a cool song.
I played you a lot
And
of songs.
sometimes I don't even know the names to them, but I'm like, yeah, that song's good, and I know the lyrics to it. Michael Jackson. Great. I do like... Well, that was... I mean, they count. Queen, they do count, but they were, like, more before, but
Yeah.
they did make songs in the 80s that I do remember. I did like rock and roll.
You liked AC/DC.
Yeah.
Like Prince.
Yeah. Prince is great. Prince is the best.
I mean, definitely Michael Jackson.
That was the most. I did like songs from Madonna back then. Madonna has messed... I don't care. She's just changed everything, and it's all modern.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I did like a lot. I loved... most of the songs I liked were from the 80s. I started listening to more of, like, the... Like the breakdancing music, because I found this playlist and it was all these old songs that I liked, that were because the breakdancing songs, they were like hip hop songs, but that was like the good,
fun.
Those were like good and fun. Like, they didn't rap about like
bitches and money.
Yeah, they didn't rap about like getting
drugs
high and money and stuff like that. They rapped about like being with their homies and like random stuff. Yeah, they rapped about different things. They probably even rapped about like toys sometimes. I don't know. Like, they rapped about the most random things.
Popping and locking.
Yeah. Yeah, they'd rap about like how to do a dance, and then like people would like... Also, the breakdancing was the culture and like what they wore. Crazy, like eye patches, like all this like diamond like weird stuff and like crazy hair, and then they'd be like and do all this crazy
like those
stuff.
break-in movies.
Yeah, they're great. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that as you get older, do you think like when you're an adult, you're probably gonna still like a lot of that 80s stuff, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Because I like the 80s stuff more than I do the stuff that I grew up with that were, like, modern TV shows.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Because the shows on Nickelodeon and stuff, they were after looking back, they didn't make a lot of sense at all.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't really tell, like, stories. Because, like, the cool thing about those old shows is that they showed how this family like evolved and how these people evolved in life. Where like Nickelodeon, they didn't show anything. Like, they didn't like give like a good moral or meaning at all. Same with like the TV shows like between PBS Kids. PBS Kids, they showed like how like life and all these things are, and like and even in He-Man they did, like, at the end they'd always be like, "Hey kids."
Yeah.
He-Man would turn to the camera and be like, "Hey kids, this episode," and like they'd tell things to kids that, so not only would it be like a crazy adventure, but it also would teach them something.
Yeah.
Like, cause on Nickelodeon, like with SpongeBob, I don't know what it's still going, right?
I don't know.
Crazy, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Are there movies that you want to watch from the 80s that you haven't been able to yet because you're too young?
Listen, alright, I shouldn't be too young to watch anything at this point. I've seen a lot, so I don't get why, like, I've seen boobs and butts. They're not, like, it's just, like, I've seen it all the time. It's not,
You
like...
saw Revenge of the Nerds. I remember that. Showed you Revenge of the Nerds.
I mean, I can't really think of 80s movies I want to watch.
16 Candles, did you like that?
Yeah, I want to watch that with my friends.
Weird Science, did you like?
I want to watch that, too. I want to watch, with my friends, I want to watch Weird Science, 16 Candles, License to Drive. I want to, because that was crazy. I also want to watch, why can't I think of the name?
Porky's.
I've never seen that.
Well, no way. It's gotta be a little older.
Shut up. That's
You do.
ridiculous. Psh. Psh. I can't think of it.
Well,
right now.
I think it's going to be neat that as you get older, you're going to have two kind of nostalgias. You're going to have all the 80s stuff and the modern stuff that you grew up with, you know, in the modern times. I think that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. But that's my son. Hopefully you were entertained a little bit, guys, by this. It might have been a boring episode, I don't know. But I thought it would be fun for him to come on and talk about his unique growing up experience, you know, with somebody like me. What do you think of me?
You're cool.
Am I cool?
I mean, yeah. I mean, to me, you're normal, because I grew up with you, and I'm like you, and my friends like you. They like me. That's why they like you, because you're like me. I'm like you. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're my dad. You're cool. You're cooler than other people's parents, certainly.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
You and Mom both let me do a lot more than a lot of other parents do with, like, their kids. But, yeah.
Well, and you also grew up in a weird environment, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know? You had a dad that loves toys and kid stuff, and, you know, you saw a lot of weird stuff because of the movies, and, you know, it's interesting. I wish I had that, but I was living in the 80s, man. I did have all that. But I mean, I wish I had a dad who was like all about that, and you know, I didn't really have a dad growing up.
He left.
Yes, he did.
He left.
But yeah, well, this was fun, right? Right, Captain Caveman? Right? Right, Alf? Ah! Willie!
Okay, stop.
I kill me! Ah!
Get out. Stop. No. No.
Hug me, River! Let's go eat a cat! Melmac. Remember Alf's real name?
Jeff?
It was Gordon.
Oh,
Gordon Shumway.
I thought it was
Jeff.
I thought it was like Jeff or George. Oh yeah, Seinfeld.
Well, that
show's the best. That's my favorite show, hands down. The best
was
show
89, but it got good in the 90s.
That was the best show.
Yeah, he does like Seinfeld. Alright, folks. Well, that was it. Thanks for watching this weird and mellow episode of Crept From the 80s. Hope you got a little enjoyment out of it. Little insight into little Sievage here. And join us for a next explosively erotic episode of Crept From the 80s. Be safe out there. Social distance. Let's flatten that curve. We can do this.
It's already flattened.
You fart.
Yeah.
And let's, you know, if you like the channel, check out all the shows on the channel here, and like us and subscribe and comment. Please talk to us. Is your kid a weird, wacky, silly kid as well? Is he exposed to the stuff that you love? I want to hear about it. What does your kid think of you as a human being? Do they think you're stupid? Do they want nothing to do with you? Are they growing out of you as a parent? Oh, I hope not. I never want that to happen. Oh, I want to experience everything. All right, bye.